Hi everybody, welcome to Back in Motion Bayswater's first floor Pilates class that you can do from home. I hope everyone's going to enjoy it today. We've got Dan who's going to demonstrate all of our exercises, and I'm going to talk you through these ones to start off with today. So what we're going to get into first is a little bit of a stretch, and this is a great one to do if you've been sitting, working or studying from home. Dan, what we're going to start off with is an exercise called a roll down. I'm going to get you to turn side onto the camera so that you can see your back. We're going to start nice and upright, and we're going to imagine we're stuck to a wall. So Dan, you're stuck to the wall behind you, and you're going to imagine that you're going to roll down nice and slow, starting from your head, peeling yourself down off the wall, rolling down nice and slow, each part of the spine at a time. When you get down to the ground, or as far as you can go, you're going to roll back up. If you have hamstring tightness or lower back pain, you can bend your knees on the way down. We're going to do that one more time, a little bit slower this time, Dan. Good, nice and slow rolling down. Remember, you can bend your knees on the way down, good. And then really slowly rolling back up, stacking yourself back up and tipping yourself back into that wall. Good. We're going to go into a little bit of upper body mobility now. Like I said, if you've been sitting a lot, you might be feeling a bit stiff in the shoulders or the neck. So what we're going to start off with is our upper trap stretches. So down, I'm going to get you to do an each shoulder stretch. If you want to add in a little bit more to this stretch, you can add your hand on that same side of the ear to shoulder to pull that head towards the ear. Good. We're going to hold that one for 10 seconds. How's that feeling, Dan?
Yep, that's great.
Good. If you want to add a little bit more to this stretch, you can rotate that head down to the armpit. So I call this my smell the armpit stretch. Doesn't sound very nice, but it works. Good. Bring your head back to the middle, Dan, and what we're going to do is bring that ear to the other side. Good, so other ear to shoulder. Again, adding in that arm if you would like to add in a bit more of a stretch. And you should feel that one down the side of your neck, and then rotating that head down to your armpit if you want to add in a little bit more there. Good. And bring that head back to the center. We're going to go into an exercise now called open book. So we're going to bring our elbows up in line with our shoulders, and we're going to be squeezing our elbows back to stretch out through the front of our chest. So Dan, I'm going to get you to do 5 of those. Come out as far as is comfortable, so in line with the shoulders if that is okay. This is a great one if you've been leaning forward, so looking down at a screen or at your phone or even driving a lot, and it gets you into that good upright posture and reduces that forward bend. This is an exercise you can also do lying down, and if you have a foam roller, you can lie on the roller while you do this exercise. And you do get a little bit more of a stretch doing it that way. Perfect. Okay, from your own exercises there, Dan? Yeah, very good. We're going to come into some 4-point kneeling now to continue our stretches. So Dan, what I'm going to get you to do is come onto the mat in 4-point kneeling here. So hands and knees for this one. We're going to go into now another upper back exercise called our thread the needle. So Dan, what I'm going to get you to do is try and keep your back nice and neutral, which means flat. We don't want a little bit of a dip in the lower back, and try and relax in the shoulders a little bit. You're going to start off by taking your right arm, reaching it underneath your left arm and rotating your body through like you're threading a needle through the gap. Perfect. For maximum stretch in this position, you can leave your back of your right hand on the ground as you thread it through, and try and drop that right shoulder down towards the ground. Perfectly in that position. How does that feel? A good stretch there?
Good stretch.
Good, perfect. Bring that right arm back through, and we're going to repeat the same with the left arm. Good. So at home, just do the stretches as much as is comfortable for you. You don't want to push to a point of pain, just stretching. And then outside of doing this class, you can repeat those stretches yourself. You can come back out of that one, sorry. Staying in that 4-point kneeling position, you're going to come into a stretch called child's pose, which is a little bit more for the lower back now. You're going to leave your hands in front of your shoulders slightly, and you're going to sit your hips back onto your heels. Perfect. You should feel that stretch all the way through from the lower back all the way up to the shoulders. If you're finding that there's a particular side that's a little bit more sore or tight for you, you can pop your hands to the opposite side. So for example, if Dan got a sore left side of his lower back, I'd get him to put both of his hands towards the right side of his body. Good, and you should feel that stretch a little bit more through the left hand.
Yep.
And then vice versa, if you felt a little bit more sore on the right, both hands would go to the left. Perfect. If you're feeling a little bit sore coming into that much hip flexion and knee flexion, you can put a towel or a pillow between your hips and your heels as well, just to lift you up a little bit. We're going to come into our final stretch now, which is our cobra stretch. That's the opposite direction to that child's pose. Dan, what you're going to do is you're going to come flat onto your stomach to start off with. And we've got two options here. The first is putting your elbows just in front of your body and having your forearms flat onto the ground and pushing yourself up into a little bit of extension as Dan is doing just through the elbows. You should feel that little bit of a stretch through the lower back. This is generally quite a good one if you've had some niggling back pain, and lots of you guys might have been given this exercise by your physio. We love giving this one out. If you're a little bit more flexible, you've done this one before, you can push your body through your hands. So take your forearms off the mat, push yourself straight up off the mat through your palms of your hands. Good. And at home, again, this is a really good one to repeat, and as you do them more, you become a little bit more flexible, become a little bit more confident. So what I would get Dan to do is do at least 5 of those as a little bit of a warm-up, as long as it's not causing any pain. How's that feeling, Dan? Good. Got good mobility there. Perfect. And when you've done 5 of those, you're just going to come back into a 4-point kneeling position to finish off with a few quick glute stretches and hip stretches. So what I'm going to get you to do now is step your right foot forward into a lunge stretch. So this is a good one for hip flexors. Yeah, you're allowed to come off your hands. Good. And then bring that torso upright and drop your left hip forward so you get that really good stretch through the front of that left side of the hip. So if you've been sitting a lot, again, this is a really good one to do to open up through the hip. Good. How's that feeling? Perfect. Good stretch. Thank you. And you're going to bring that right foot back and you're going to switch to the left side now. So left foot goes forward, right hip drops forward. Perfect. And then coming out of that stretch, we're going to go into our first set of exercises, which is an exercise lying on your back again. So we're going to start off lying flat on our back. We're going to bend our knees into our crook lying position. And we want to make sure we're nice and relaxed here. So there's a couple of things I want you to think about. I want you to make sure first that your feet are about 1 or 2 footsteps away from your butt. Your knees are hip width apart and they stay like that, so we don't want them dropping together or rolling apart. We want to try and do a posterior pelvic tilt. So again, if you've been pretty, probably would have heard us talk about this. If you haven't, what you can try and do is think about flattening out that small space in your lower back so there's not a big arch. You can think about gently drawing that belly button towards the spine, or something that I often tell my patients is imagine to kind of zip up a really tight pair of jeans, tucking in that lower back and just switching on those core muscles to keep it flat. The other thing we want to do is make sure our ribs are nice and relaxed and again not arching up, or what we call rib flare. So ribs should be gently sinking down into the mat and trying to maintain that position. So Dan, how does that feel for you? Perfect. So we're going to go into a core exercise here. There's a couple of versions, so we're going to show you each version and you can pick the one that's comfortable for you. For all of these exercises, you should feel your core doing the work. If you're feeling your lower back, go back to the easier version and work on that until you get used to it. So Dan, we're going to start off with an exercise where we're going to lift one heel off the ground at a time. We're going to maintain those positions that we talked about, keeping the knees hip width apart, keeping the lower back flat, keeping the ribs relaxed and some factors in that. So I'm going to get you to start off by lifting your right leg off the mat, bring it up to 90 degrees in line with your body. I'm just going down and help you there. Good. And then bringing that foot back down to the ground. If that's feeling a little bit easy, when you bring that knee up, instead of tapping the heel straight back down to the ground, so bring it up to 90 degrees, now straighten out the leg so it comes out straight towards the mat, lower it all the way down, good. Now bend it back up to 90 degrees and tap it back down, good. Okay, you're going to repeat that on the left leg. So again, you can start with the same, the first option, so where you're just going up and down with your knee, tapping the heel back down, or if you want to add a little bit of a challenge, you can extend that leg out as you go up and down. Tabletop position, perfect, maintaining that hip, knee hip width apart, perfect. So now we're going to do that alternating heel tap down to the ground, and if you're doing this version, what you need to focus on is not letting that pelvis tilt forwards or that little arch appear in the lower back. So Dan, I'm going to get you to tap down, alternating towards the ground. Yeah, perfect, good. How's that feeling in the lower back?
That's good, a little bit more challenging.
Yep, good, perfect. And again, if you want to make it a little bit harder, there's another version that you might have been training given by your physio if you've become quite advanced in your Pilates practice, called a dead bug. Dan, you're going to bring both hands up above the chest now. Perfect. And the hardest version here is to alternate opposite arm and leg, so it's a little bit of brain training. Dan, I'm going to get you to bring your right arm over the top of your head so you're reaching over, and your left leg is going to extend at the same time. So this is quite a bit more challenging because both limbs are moving at the same time and putting a little bit more load through the core. It is a really good one, however, if you have done all the other levels and they're not challenging anymore. Perfect. Like I mentioned, if it is hurting your lower back, then go back to the previous option. Has that feel again? A bit harder again, good. And still making sure that we're not losing that pelvic tilt, we're not flaring or arching up into the ribs. Perfect. Alright, you can have a little bit of a break there. That's a perfect one to start off with for a little bit of core activation. If you did feel your lower back in that set, what we can do is just go to some knee drops side to side. So Dan, what you're going to do is keep your knees together, you're going to drop them to the right side together, just to stretch out through that lower back. Perfect. And then you can bring those legs towards me, stretch out through the lower back as well. And again, repeat that a couple of times if you're noticing a little bit of stiffness in your lower back. Great. How are you feeling?
What are you doing more also?
Yeah, good. Ready to do a bit more?
Good stretch.
Perfect. So we're going to go into a little bit of a glute set now. And again, this is a very common one that you might have been given. If you have a band at home, so a micro band or a long band that you can wrap into a loop, you can use this one to make it a little bit more difficult. Dan, do you want to make it harder this morning? Okay, so you can pop that band on above your knees. And we're going to go into some activation exercises. And then we're going to make it a little bit harder so you can all sweat at home. Good there. Perfect. So same position as our previous exercise. You want to make sure those feet are a couple of foot lengths away from your body. You want to make sure that your knees are about hip width apart. And we still want to maintain that little bit of core control by having that posterior pelvic tilt and flattening out in the ribs. So Dan, what I'm going to get you to do is we're going to start off with something called a roll up. So this is just a little bit of activation through the core, but also activating through the glutes. So what we're doing in the roll up is we're imagining that again we're peeling ourselves off the ground like we do in our standing exercise, but instead of peeling down, we're going to peel up from the hips. So we're going to start off with that posterior pelvic tilt, flattening out through the lower back. I'm going to get you to squeeze your glutes and continue that roll up, peeling your lower back off. Oh, sorry, wrong way. Roll up from the hips. So don't worry everyone if you get it wrong at home. Dan got it wrong here too and he's a physio, so it's all good. We're actually going to roll up from the hips today. So we're going to go into a glute bridge, squeezing the glutes, posterior pelvic tilt, peeling, yeah, perfect. Yeah, second time lucky. Great. And then we're going to roll down, so rolling down from the top of the body. Ribs go down first, pelvis goes down, hips go down, relax the lower back. How does that feel?
Yeah.
We're going to do a couple of those, rolling up nice and slow, perfect, and then rolling back down. For this exercise, if you're doing it at home, the other thing to make sure is that those knees stay hip width apart and keep the glutes switched on, otherwise we're not really using them if they drop together. Good. One more with that, just to warm up through the glutes and the lower back. Good, perfect. So we can make those exercises a little bit harder now by adding in a little bit more of a challenge through the glutes. So we're going to come up into that roll-up position or into that bridge position. We're going to stay at the top, and what I'm going to get you to do here, Dan, is actually try and do a little bit of lower body movement to challenge your glutes. So I'm going to get you to do alternating calf raises. So your right heel is going to come off the ground first. Good. And back down. Now your left heel is going to come off the ground. Good. So what this does is it challenges your, and you can keep going with that cycle, this challenges your glutes to keep your hips extended up into the air, probably also just challenging your hamstrings a little bit, and your calf muscles. Perfect. So at home you can do 2 calf raises and then go back down, or you can do 4 or 6. And it's a good way of challenging yourself and seeing if you can do a few more each day, or more than the previous day I should say. Perfect. Good. How's it feeling?
Yeah, not too bad.
How many do you reckon you can do?
Oh, I can go all day. There'll be no time for that.
Okay. So we're not going to go all day, don't worry. Perfect. So we're going to do another exercise here. Again, you can stick with the easy easier version, but if you want to make it a little bit harder, we're going to try a single leg bridge. So what we're going to do this time is two options. Option number one, you're going to roll up into that bridge position same as you did the first time around. Then what you're going to do is try and maintain that position of your hips, so you don't want them rocking around. Maintain the distance of your knees hip width apart, and you're going to try and lift one leg off the ground. So transferring your weight onto one side, perfect, extending the knee, bringing the foot back down, and then coming back out of the bridge. Good. If you want to make it a little bit harder, Dan, I'm going to get you to take your right foot off to start off with. Perfect. You can have that knee bent 90 degrees, or you can have it straight as long as you're keeping it that hip width apart. Perfect. And then we can elevate the hips in that position so that we start off with only one leg support. That makes it a lot harder for the pelvic or hip stability. So if you're someone that we've talked to about working on pelvic stability, this is a really good one to do. Good, and then coming back down out of it. How does that second version feel?
Yeah, it's a bit tougher.
Yep. Do you want to do it again on the other side? Good. Lifting the hips, keeping those hip bones even, so in line with each other, keeping the knees hip width apart. Good, and then coming out of it. Fantastic. Let's try one more on each side. You look like you need a bit of a challenge this morning. Good. Perfect. If you do want to make it harder again, and you've done these ones before, you can take your hands off the ground as you go up and down into that bridge, just to challenge the stability. And even if you want to make it really hard again, bringing the hands straight up above the chest. Yeah, perfect. So now the only thing that's really providing any stability to the lower body is the foot on the ground. Great. That looks really good. And it can be quite challenging, and as you know, if you've done it here, we make it very challenging for you. Dan, what I'm going to get you to do is stay in that position. If you're at home, you can either put your head in your hands, or you can put a pillow under your head if that's more comfortable. It really is just up to you. Dan, what I'm going to get you to make sure is that your hips stay stacked up on top of each other, so you don't want them rolling forwards or backwards. That's perfect. You want to keep your heels together as well for this exercise, and your knees are going to be moving for this first one. So what I'm going to get you to do with your left knee, Dan, is imagine you're lifting that left knee up, keeping those heels together, but the action is sort of a rolling back of your left hip. So sort of imagine, your left hip. You're rolling that left hip into your back pocket, lifting your left knee up, perfect, and then slowly controlling that one down. So you should be feeling that one around the side of your hip, perfect. We're going to do a couple of those. So that's clams level 1. If you want to make it a little bit harder at home, we can go to clams level 2. Dan, do you want to try clams level 2? Perfect. So our hip position and knee position is going to stay the same for the start. We're actually going to lift our feet up together for this second level. So the feet stay up in the air now, and we're going to do the same thing with our knee, lifting our top knee, rolling that left hip into the back pocket. Perfect. A little bit harder there. Perfect. If we want to make it even harder for our core and our pelvic stability, we can take our left hand off the ground, so there's nothing providing that support. Perfect. Is that harder, Dan?
Yep.
Great. So I'm just going to leave you here for the next half an hour. No, I'm joking. Fantastic. We're going to do one more, and then I'm going to get you to flip over to the other side, so roll onto your left shoulder so you're still facing the camera. Perfect. And we'll try that same exercise on the other side. So we'll start off with clams level 1, hips stacked on top of each other, knees together, heels together, lifting the top knee, so the right knee's lifting now. Right hip should feel like it's rolling back into that pocket. Perfect. Up and down. And then let's try clams level 2. So feet come up into the air. Perfect. Hold them there, and then that right knee lifts up and down nice and slow into the air. Good. Good. Perfect. How are you feeling?
Yeah, working.
Working, yeah, great. So what I'm going to get you to do, you can take that band off, and I'll just show everyone a quick glute stretch you can do at this point. You probably will start to feel that those glutes are working quite hard. As you can see, I've only shown you about 5 reps of each exercise. If you're doing it at home, I want you to repeat that 2 or 3 times depending on how fit you are and how much exercise you've been doing so far. I'm going to get you to lie on your back, Dan, and what I'm going to get you to do is a glute stretch. So you're going to bring your right knee into your chest first and hug that into your chest. Perfect. You can also bring this knee across the body if you want to feel a little bit more of a stretch. And you should feel a little bit of stretch from the lower back there as well. If if you bend your left knee as well, Dan, and now put your right heel onto your left knee, so put this one down, good. And then push that knee away if you want a little bit more of a stretch, great. Is that enough of a stretch for you?
Stretch.
Yep. Will you ever do the other version where you bring the left? Yep. So if at home you're still not feeling this through the right glute, what you can do is loop your hands behind your left leg now, hug that knee into the chest. Good, so you get even more of a stretch and more flexion through the hips there, which puts a bit more of a stretch through the glutes. Great. We'll do the same on the other side. So we'll do the level 1 version where you just hug your left knee into your chest. Put that right foot down. Good. Bring it across the body if you'd like. Good. You'll be really stretched out for your day now, Dan.
Oh, no.
Great. If you want to make that more of a stretch, bend your right knee, put your left heel onto your right knee. Yep, great. I just have to figure out my lefts and rights there. If you want to make more of a stretch, push down onto that left knee with your hand if you like. Or the full stretch is hugging behind that right knee, bringing it into the chest and really getting that stretch through the left side of the glute. Good. Feeling all right?
Bit tight on the side.
So we'll leave it there for a little bit longer. With your stretches at home, probably aim to hold them for about 20 to 30 seconds. And then repeat them as needed. So it's safe and good to do stretches throughout the day, especially if you find you're sitting a little bit more than good. We're going to come into our 4-point kneeling position, so onto our hands and knees now, and we're going to try a little bit of upper body work and a little bit of back stability work as well. So what we want to make sure in this 4-point kneeling position, a couple of things. We want to maintain that neutral spine, so in your lower back you don't want a big dip. Dan's showing it really well here. We also want to make sure that in between our shoulder blades there's not a big dip going on there too. If you're finding that you're having either of those problems, what we want to make sure of is that firstly we're trying to flatten out the lower back. A way that you can do this at home is imagining that you have a tail and you're tucking it between your legs. Dan's doing that really well. And then if you're finding that you're having a big dip in between the shoulder blades, what I want you to gently do is imagine you're pushing away from the ground and you're trying to get your chest away from that ground. Yeah, perfect. So we're getting a little bit more of a neutral spine in the upper back. The other thing that we can bring in here, and particularly at the moment, again, I know I've mentioned it a lot, but if you're sitting a lot, your neck might be getting a little bit sore, so we can add in what we call a deep neck flexor or neck stability exercise. So Dan, what I'm going to get you to do is make sure that you're looking straight down between your hands and you're tucking your chin in gently. So for everyone doing that at home, you should feel those muscles in the front of your neck working now, and that's just helping to control the neck in that really good neutral spine. And that's something you can do sitting up as well. It just makes it a little bit more challenging in this position if you're working against gravity. We're going to start off with an upper body exercise now, an arm lift exercise in this position. So Dan, what I'm going to get you to do with your right arm is gently lift that arm off the mat and raise it up in line with your shoulder. Perfect. So what you would have felt is that your body weight transferred over to that left side, and then bring the arm back down. Good. We're going to do the same on the left side, still maintaining that really good posture of the lower and the upper back and that chin tuck of the neck. Left arm's going to reach out in front of the body. Perfect. Doing really well. And then slowly bringing that hand back down towards the ground. We're going to repeat that on each side and at home. Do it 5 times on each side. If you do want to make it a little bit harder, there's a second version we can add in here. We can do alternating with those arm lifts, a leg slide as well. So Dan, I'm just going to get you to show everyone the leg slides without the arms first. Same position for the lower back, but we're going to start off with your right leg. It's going to slide back towards, back away from your body, sorry. You can keep your foot on the ground if you want to make it easier, or you can lift it off the ground if you want to make it harder. It's whatever you can do without letting your lower back drop or dip or your hips rock around. Perfect. So Dan can do that with his foot off the ground, and then with the left side as well, transferring the weight onto the right, either sliding the left foot back or lifting that left foot off the ground as you come away from the body. Perfect. So again, you can stick with that option 5 on each side, or if you want to make it really hard here, what we can do is alternating with your arms. So Dan, what you're going to start off with is your right arm reaching forward, but at the same time, your left foot is going to slide back off the mat. The things we're really focusing on here is keeping that neutral lower back, trying not to rock or shift the body too much out of that normal 4-point kneeling position. Perfect, you're doing really well. And if you're doing this version at home, really think about keeping that chin tucked in as well, so we're using our deep neck flexors. Really good. What I like to tell my patients for practicing this one at home is imagine you've bought a round of drinks and they're sitting on your back, and if you drop them, everyone's going to be really mad. So you've got to keep your back really flat to hold onto that tray of drinks. How you feeling, Dan? Perfect. So while we're in this 4-point kneeling position, we can add in a little bit of upper body exercise doing some push-ups, and there's lots of modifications to push-ups as well. Dan, I don't know how good you are at push-ups, but I'll take you through the modifications and we can try a couple. We can try some, and if you've never done a push-up, this is probably an easy one to do, starting in this 4-point kneeling position, just doing a front of the body push-up. So Dan, all you're going to be doing is lowering the front of the body down towards the ground, bending the elbows a little bit, and then coming back up again. Good. How does that feel? So it should just feel like a little bit of activation through your biceps and triceps, but we're still trying to maintain that really good position, particularly of the upper back and the shoulders. If you want to make it a little bit harder, we can do a push-up still with our knees on the ground, but lowering our whole body towards the ground. So for this one, if you're doing this version at home, maybe move your knees a little bit further away from the body. Still maintaining that really nice neutral flat back. We don't want the lower back to dip down. Dan, I'm going to get you to just gently drop down towards the ground. And this is as much as is comfortable for you guys to do at home. Dan, just showing off. Good. Perfect. That's really good. If you want to make it even harder and you've done them before and you don't have any shoulder or neck issues at the moment, you can go into a full push-up as well now. Perfect. And again, only lowering down as far as is comfortable. And as you can see with Dan's upper body, he's maintaining that good position of his elbows and his shoulders. The elbows aren't pointing way out to the side, which is not quite a safe position for the shoulders, and the lower back is staying nice and flat. Perfect. So what we're going to do now, you're actually going to stay in that high plank position, Dan. Good. And we're going to do a quick exercise that'll get the heart rate up a little bit. This is called a mountain climber. So if you've been in my class before, I would have made you do these. I'm sure you're all groaning at home. Dan, what I'm going to get you to do is bring one knee in towards the opposite arm. So if you start off with your right leg, your right knee is going to bend towards your left arm. Good, good. And then bring that leg out again. Perfect. Now we're going to switch to the same on the other side. Good. How's that feeling? More challenging. So this is a really good one if you want to add a little bit more load to the upper body, but also to add a little bit of the core control with that little bit of rotation. How are you feeling? A little bit fatigued. Do one more on each side. Good. And last one. Good. Perfect. Have a little bit of a break there. Perfect. So at this point, if you're doing them at home, you might feel a little bit of tightness through the upper body now. So we're just going to do some shoulder rolls down. I'm going to get you to turn to face the camera. And some shoulder rolls or shrugs is another exercise that we like to use out. So really good if the upper back is feeling really nice and tight. So what you're going to be doing is rolling those shoulders back, squeezing the shoulder blades so that your shoulders come out of that forwards position, and rolling the shoulders back again. Good. And then rolling them back one way, good, and then the other way, just to loosen them up if you felt a little bit of a tension in that exercise. This is a great one to do at your desk as well. Good. And then if your arms are starting to feel a little bit tight, we can do a stretch for those. Dan, what you're going to do is bring your right arm across your body, hold it there with your left arm. Perfect, and you should feel that stretch a little bit more now around the back of the shoulder. Yeah, great. So we've gone through quite a few exercises now for the whole body, and we're going to add in a couple more now that are a little bit more challenging. Again, if you want to tap out here, that's fine. There are some quite challenging ones coming up now. Dan, do you reckon you're up for the challenge?
I think so.
Yeah.
We'll soon find out.
Yeah, okay. So what we're going to do now is go into some sideline work, and this is a really good one for pelvic stability and also for glutes. If you have a weight at home or an ankle weight, you can also add it into this exercise. Otherwise, you can use the micro band as we used before. Then I'm going to get you to lie on your right side now. And you're going to have your legs straight out so they're extended. Again, put your arms wherever is comfortable. We're going to start off without the micro band, but if you've done this one before, we can add that one in straight away. You're going to be wrapping that micro band around the ankles. Dan, what I'm going to get you to do is try and lift your top leg straight up into the air. So straight up from the body, good. Lower it halfway down, perfect. Now what you're going to imagine is that you're kicking the leg forwards of your body slightly and go as far as you can without the body rolling forwards, perfect. Now bring the leg back in line with the body and bring it back down, perfect. So that's the first version, Dan. I'll get you to show that one again. So lifting the leg all the way up or as far as you can control, bringing it halfway down first, rushing through the exercises. Bringing the leg forwards of the body as far as you can without the body rolling forwards. Perfect. Bringing it back in line with the body and bringing it down. Now keep going with that one if that's enough for you. The harder version that I'm going to make you do, Dan, is bring your right arm off the ground. Sorry, left arm off the ground. Still early in the morning. So now there's very limited support from your upper limb on the ground and your core has to do all the control. So we're going to do the same exercise. Left leg's going to lift up, lower down halfway, bring that left leg forwards, and what you'll find is you can't go as far. Perfect. Bring it back in line with the body and bring it back down again. So if that version suits you, continue with that one. The final version is adding in the band. I won't make Dan put it on just for one exercise, but that will make it a little bit harder for your glutes as well. There's another version we can add into the end of that, and once you're done, again, 5 to 10 of those on each side. You can also add in a little bit of a challenge, and if you've been in any of my classes, you know I love to add in pulses. So this is the pulse version of this exercise. Bring the heel up into the air, so lifting that leg straight up, Dan. You're going to hold it there, and you're going to do some small circles with your heel. So I want you to draw 10 circles going one way, good, and then 10 circles going the other way as well. Good. And what you should start to feel is that A, your core is working really hard to keep you neutral, but also your glutes are working really hard. And what we find is a lot of the time with lots of sitting and a little bit of inactivity is actually if we get our glutes going, they're going to support our lower back and get us out of that position where we've been sitting on them and not using them. Perfect. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's starting to get a bit fatigued.
Great. We're going to repeat on the other side. So if you roll around onto your left shoulder, so you're still facing the mirror, and we're going to do the same thing. So the first version, which is having your hand in front, you're going to keep your legs straight. You're going to bring one leg up into the air, perfect. Lower it halfway down. Bring that leg forwards of the body, good. Bring it back in line with the body and lower all the way down. And as you saw with the other version, straight away if you want to make it harder, you can take that hand off the ground. The leg's going to lift up into the air, lower halfway down, bring the leg forwards of the body, return in line with the body, and lower down. So you can work through that one a couple more times, Dan, and then we'll finish off with that really fun pulse set. Having fun?
A bit more unstable on this side.
Yeah, okay, and you might find that at home as well, that you have one side that's a little bit more stable than the other. That's normal. It probably just means it's the side we need to work really hard on. Good. Make sure you're lowering down a little bit. Good. Nice. And you should start to really feel a burn. Danny, feeling a burn in the glutes there. Yep.
Yeah, tired.
Tired, yep. So we're going to just try a few more exercises and then I'll let Dan have a break. And if you're tired at home as well, remember you can always just go off and have a quick drink or have a quick stretch. Doing it in your own time is completely fine. Dan, what I'm going to get you to do is roll onto your stomach now. Good. And we're going to do an exercise called breaststroke prep in this position. Dan, have you done this one before?
Possibly, yeah.
Possibly, yep. Yep. So what we're going to do is we're going to be trying to do a little bit of upper back extension in this position. So now, this is our last exercise for today. I only want you to try this one if you have no lower back issues. And we can just watch Dan doing this one today if you haven't done it before, and then maybe you can try it next time. So what you can see is Dan is lying on his stomach here. He's got his hands underneath his head. What we're going to be trying to do today is just lifting off different parts of our upper body. So the first one we're going to lift off is just our neck, and we're going to go to that deep neck flexor position or neck tuck that we have done in previous exercises. Good, and then lowering down. You want to make sure that you're looking straight down and just doing that really gentle neck tuck. Good, lifting the head off and lowering down. Good, how's that feeling, Dan? It's just a little bit of activation in front of the neck. Good. So what we can do is, if you want to make it a little bit harder, or if you've done this one before, you can bring your hands out to the side now. So you're going to bring them wide of the body. And this time, instead of just lifting the neck off, what we're going to try and do is lift the neck, but also the breastbone off as well. And again, if you have done this one a lot, you can also hover your arms off at the same time. Good. And then lowering down nice and slow. Making sure that you're not feeling strain in your lower back. So tucking the chin in. If you want to lift the breastbone up, you can. If you want to make it harder, you can hover those arms up. And then we can add in a little bit of that squeeze in between the shoulder blades as well. Good. And then lowering down. Good. So if you haven't done this one before, make sure you're sticking with the first version, just tucking the chin in. If you want to make it harder, adding that chest bone lift off the ground. If you've done it before, lifting those arms up. Good. And we're going to do one more here, Dan. You can also hover your arms up at the same time. Good. And then lowering down nice and slow. Making sure that you're not feeling strain in your lower back. So tucking the chin in. If you want to lift the breastbone off, you can. If you want to make it harder, you can hover those arms up. And then we can add in a little bit of that squeeze in between the shoulder blades as well. Good. And then lowering down. Good. So if you haven't done this one before, make sure you're sticking with the first version, just tucking the chin in. If you want to make it harder, adding that chest bone lift off the ground. If you've done it before, lifting those arms off. Good. And we're going to do one more here, Dan. And you're done for today. Very good. Arms off. Perfect. Good. All right. Have a little bit of a break. You've done a really good job. So guys, hope you're feeling all right at home. You've done really well. Give that a go and give us some feedback. Thank you.